Today, we're going to unpack one of the most incredible ideas in modern neuroscience. It's a theory that tries to explain what a thought actually is, and maybe, just maybe, how you can get a little more control over the ones you have.
So let's start with a little puzzle, one you've probably lived through. You're driving, you're trying to merge into some really tricky traffic, and without even thinking, you tell everyone in the car, "Shh, quiet for a second." Why do we do that? Why does just hearing a conversation make a totally visual, physical task so much harder? Well, the answer reveals something truly profound about how our brains actually work.
To get to that answer, first we have to talk about a powerful illusion our brain is creating, well, pretty much every second of every day. We tend to think of our senses, sight, sound, touch, as these separate, distinct channels. But in reality, your brain is constantly mixing them, blending them all together to create one single, unified story of the world. Here's a perfect example. Just picture this. You're watching a movie on your laptop. You've got your headphones on. You're totally zoned in. A character on screen starts talking. Now, where does that sound seem to be coming from? Your brain is absolutely convinced it's coming right from the character's mouth on the screen. But the reality? The sound is physically coming from your headphones, maybe a foot away from the screen, being piped directly into your ears. So what's going on here? Well, it means your brain is basically a master storyteller. As neuroscientist Dr. Jennifer Groh puts it, your brain sees the moving lips, it hears the audio at the same time, and it just decides, okay, the most logical explanation here is that the sound is coming from the screen. It literally creates a story that makes sense, even if it has to totally override the raw data that your ears are sending it. This is called the ventriloquist effect, and it's happening all the time, usually without you ever noticing.
Now, for your brain to even pull off that little ventriloquist trick, it first has to be incredibly good at locating where sounds are coming from. And the speed at which it does this, well, it is nothing short of astonishing.
So here's the basic mechanic of it. A sound that comes from your right side is going to hit your right ear a tiny fraction of a second before it hits your left. Your brain measures this incredibly small delay, it's called the intraaural time difference, to instantly calculate where that sound came from.
And when I say tiny, I am not kidding. The absolute longest it can possibly take for a sound to get from one ear to the other is about half a millisecond. And get this, your brain can detect differences that are way, way smaller than that. It's a truly mind-boggling feat of computation.
But here's where things get really weird. Processing information on that kind of timescale, sub-millisecond, it seems to break the basic rules of neuroscience. It's actually faster than the brain's own fundamental messaging speed. So how is that even possible? What's going on?
Okay, to really get this puzzle, you need to know about something called the action potential. This is the basic electrical pulse, the zap, that neurons use to talk to each other. A single one of these pulses actually takes longer than the time delay your brain is measuring. For neuroscientists, this is a huge paradox, and it tells us our brain has some seriously clever tricks up its sleeve.
And that paradox brings us right to the core revelation, the big idea of this whole explainer. All of this stuff, the sensory blending, the incredible speed, it's not just for figuring out the outside world. It's the very same machinery you use to create your inner world. The theory is that thinking itself is a form of simulation.
This is it, the central idea. When you think, what you're really doing is running a simulation. You're using the exact same parts of your brain that process sight and sound and movement to create a mental model of whatever it is you're thinking about. Thinking isn't some abstract, floaty thing. It's a physical rehearsal inside your head.
But hey, don't just take my word for it. Let's try a quick experiment, right here, right now. Just for a moment, I want you to think about a cat. Really get a picture of one in your mind.
You got it? Okay. What color is the cat you're imagining? Maybe it's black. Maybe it's tabby. Maybe it's orange. Whatever color you just saw, that image was just generated by your visual cortex, the same part of your brain you're using to look at the screen right now.
Now, can you hear it? Maybe it's purring, or you can hear a little meow. That sound? That just came courtesy of your auditory cortex, the exact same hardware that processes real-world sound.
And what about a smell? Dr. Groh actually mentions that for her, the thought of a cat brings up the smell of kitty litter. For you, it might be totally different. But that's your olfactory system, your smell system, running its own little simulation.
See what just happened? That entire multisensory experience of a cat was just a simulation running on your brain's existing sensory hardware. You didn't just think about the idea of a cat, you simulated the experience of one. And this brings us full circle, right back to our original puzzle with the car. Driving in heavy traffic is an intense visual and motor simulation. You're simulating paths, predicting what other cars will do. At the same time, a conversation is a demanding auditory simulation. They are both trying to use the same limited brain resources at the same time. They're competing. That's why you have to turn down the sound to free up precious processing power for the road.
Okay, so thinking is a sensory simulation. That's a really cool idea, but so what? Why does this matter to you in your everyday life? Well, because if you understand the mechanism, you can start to influence it. You can actually start to intentionally shape your own thoughts.
So here are the big takeaways. First, because your thoughts are simulations, your physical environment directly shapes your mental one. If you feel mentally stuck on a problem, literally move. Go to a different room, walk outside, go to a coffee shop. You're trying to restart the simulation. Also, if you're easily distracted, it might be because one of your sensory channels is empty. Filling it with something like instrumental music or background noise can actually improve your focus. It all comes back to this. Your thoughts are literally built from the sights and sounds and feelings you've experienced in your life.
And that leads us to a final, pretty provocative question. If your thinking is just a simulation built from your past sensory experiences, that means you have a direct say in what you build your future thoughts from. The experiences you choose to have today, those become the building blocks for the thoughts you'll have tomorrow. So the question is, what reality are you going to build next?